So it's a kind of a very, I would say, discreet session, confidential. But we are very happy that you're here today. We wanted to create more attention towards the efforts made by some members of LoRa Alliance to generate adoption for LoRaWAN with a key standard that is called DLMS, and we will go through the explanation of what it is, why we have a liaison effort with DLMS Association. We will also understand how some companies are in Brazil accelerating the adoption. You will see that it's a kind of huge effort and heavy lift they have done over these past years, because it did not start in 1 month. But finally, you will see that there is a great number of opportunities that will come afterwards. First of all, my name is Rémi Demerlet. I work for Semtech. I'm chair of the Smart Utilities Work Group. And today it's my pleasure to welcome on stage Gustavo Zarife from Everynet, your regional sales manager for Brazil. Also Rogerio from NEPEN. NEPEN, you will tell us what activities and what exactly the profile of your activity is. And William from HTMicron, who is also a member of LoRa Alliance and producing a new module that can have key differentiators. In the first slide, if we can move forward. Oh, that's okay. That's me to control. Yes. Okay. I was just almost forgetting. There is also Aclio, who has registered a video file that we will play to listen to their presentation. So Sonny Nollet from Aclio will be here virtually with this video file. All right, so first of all, I will give you more explanation about the DLMS thing. With LoRa Alliance, we have since 2019 a liaison between the two associations. What is DLMS? It's a high-level standard for smart metering data exchange. It's agnostic in terms of transport layer. So it works over different communication protocols and technologies, including cellular, PLC, fiber, Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and LoRaWAN. Most of the time, we can figure out how the world of industry works, how it's complex. But if we put our feet in their shoes, we may understand they have a challenge to account correctly, to have accuracy, and to, I would say, use for good their monopoly of service they have in terms of supply and distribution, which means at the end, the tax point, the meter itself, must be secured, reliable, and most important, it has to be for the long term. So once it's installed, it must last, and it must also be easy to replace if necessary. So the key word is interoperability. To meet that goal, utilities are demanding for standard protocol, and that's what they get with LoRaWAN. But they also ask for a standard application layer, and that's what they get with DLMS. A very good point in this I would say industry is the ISO IEC standard bodies. And I'm glad to also share with you the news that IEC has standardized DLMS over LoRaWAN last March 3rd. So it's a good achievement for all of the industry, because they are moving forward with addition of LoRaWAN, as I said, in the list of available media communication. We signed this liaison. We created specification together, and we have also made a push towards ANSI in US, where DLMS is now part of the specification, and key for Brazil, adoption by ABNT. We will have more explanation with Everynet. Technically, as I said, DLMS is an application layer. It's using also an object model for specifying and describing all the objects that are in use by the utility, so the meter itself, but also can be enhanced and adapted for other smart devices. So DLMS COSEM can be today expanded to smart water, smart gas, and other applications. For, I would say, the purpose of transporting the DLMS COSEM payload over a constrained network, such as LoRaWAN, it was necessary to modify the way DLMS COSEM is transmitting. So with DLMS, and that's the benefit of the liaison, we structured a new approach from a pull mode to a push that was heavily simplifying the complexity of the handshake session that were used every time there was a communication. That reduces a lot the traffic. The other key we used is an algorithm, a mechanism for compression of the static header and fragmentation of the payload when necessary. So this mechanism is based on the SCHIC, static context header compression. As you can see, it's pronounced SCHIC. It's a technology which has been standardized by the ETF and that has been adopted by LoRa Alliance in last May in the technical specification. So SCHIC is necessary to support DLMS over LoRaWAN in a standard way. There is no changes at all in the LoRaWAN network. There is no changes in the LoRaWAN end device for the communication stack. Only the SCHIC layer is necessary to be added, and then you have the DLMS application. So there is still some effort to do, and implementation proven in Brazil can help you to understand what efforts can be proposed. Last point, with the liaison we have with DLMS, we have defined how to certify this communication stack until the level of SCHIC. As explained, SCHIC is now part of existing specification by the LoRa Alliance. So we have now a certification that is available for LoRaWAN end device using the SCHIC layer. They can be then ideal candidates to receive certification by DLMS Association. So let's start now with more insights on the efforts made by Everynet in Brazil to help the utilities in their journey.
Okay. Thank you, Hemi. Are you listening? Yeah. Thank you, Hemi. Thanks all the other members of the panel. And thank everybody for joining. So briefly, I'm Gustavo Zarife. I'm country manager of Everynet Brazil. And I will explain briefly who we are and how we are supporting this standard and evolution of LoRaWAN in Brazil. Yeah. So basically, I believe most of you knows us, but Everynet, our goal as a company is to deploy and operate neutral host carrier grade networks. Brazil was our first global network. This is what we call public network based on infrastructure partnerships. Okay. In Brazil, we are present in more than 10 countries right now. Besides Brazil, we have a network here in the United States, Indonesia, Spain, Italy, UK, and other countries. In every region, we are connected to one global leader in telecommunications infrastructure, what brings a lot of reliability to our networks. Talking a little bit about Brazil, we are talking about the 5th largest country. We have more than 200 million people. Our network in Brazil covers around 67% of Brazilian GDP. which means more than 100 million people, over 280 cities. Here in Brazil, we have American Tower as our telecommunications infrastructure partner. And across the main opportunities, we have, besides utilities, asset tracking, cargo tracking, public lighting, and those are the main opportunities that we have there. Okay, I mean, just explain a little bit more. We have what we're calling resilient network and the global 24/7 NOC to maintain and operates all our networks. So we make it easy for our partners to deploy their solutions without having to deploy all the CapEx and manage the networks. Okay, so this is what a simple architecture of our network. And now we have also the approach of the LNS. You can bring your own LNS to our network if you'd like. Okay, so but our role there, much more than just deploying infrastructure. It's creating the right ecosystem for us to have the business. And among the key actions, we have what we call strategic actions, strategic relationships with the local market. So now everything's beautiful, but 6 years ago, when I first met Lawrence, there was no regulation for LoRaWAN. We worked with Anatel, which is our FCC, to deploy it, to regulate it. We created, or we fostered the ecosystem, joined the right associations, aiming to have a real ecosystem of real devices in Brazil. For everyone that knows Brazil, we know that our importation taxes are a little bit crazy, our importation rules, so we cannot just bring from China or produce anywhere else. And also here we have ABNT, which is our National Association for Technical Standards, which is key for us for this conversation, okay? Besides other events and other associations like IoT Labs and massive IoT summits that we are creating to foster the market together with partners, okay? And the result of this is that over those years, we came from 0 solutions to more than 240 local solutions. Here, probably we are the second largest group of Brazilians here at the event today. I'm seeing a lot of those here. But what happens is that the barriers of developing a business in Brazil also created a very creative ecosystem. And we have, as Everynet today, more than 240 mapped solutions from more than 135 partners. The colors you are seeing there, this is real, by the way. It means that the pink ones means that we have solutions that we call ready to scale or ready for sale, which means they have a local strategy for production, taxation, deployment, support, everything we need, okay? And this is a simple draft, not exhaustive, of some of those partners. Most of the logos you're seeing here are not known outside Brazil, but also this brings a lot of creativity. And one of the things we are doing is creating a real ecosystem that can not only manage Brazil, but also export technology for other countries. We have a very competitive pricing point to reach, and this is bringing to us a lot of good solutions that can scale. So that's beautiful. Okay, but what else you have, and this is the main conversation. When it comes to the energy distribution market, the challenge is huge. It's huge and it's not easy to win. We have all the DLMS, but thinking about Brazil, the conversation is even more complicated. We have 34 distributors among Brazil, but they are organized only in 10 economic groups, and they manage 80 million meters. Just 4 vendors sell more than 80% of all meters in Brazil for all those 10 economic groups. Y-Sun is the technology that's leading the way. And as LoRaWAN sponsors or supporters, we need to understand that we are facing them. We are challenging them. We are the newcomer to the market. Specifically for Brazil, there is this exclusively dedicated culture of private networks. All the energy distribution market usually deploy their own network. And also, we have a local regulation that pushes into that culture. So the main question for us is, okay, how we can include LoRaWAN in their official roadmap portfolio for new technologies. And we put up a go-to-market plan, a go-to-market strategy plan based on 4 items, okay? So first introduce LoRaWAN as a standard technology. That's not as simple as having LoRaWAN published by the International Telecommunications Association. And I'm going to speak a little bit more. Second is promoting LoRaWAN strengths. I mean, promoting LoRaWAN as a technology. Drive acceptance by solving real use cases and adjust business model and offer. So and this is going to be fast, as a LoRaWAN, as a standard, we worked for more than 2 years at the National ABNT Technical Association to guarantee that LoRaWAN is part of the Brazilian DLMS profile. Now it's approved since April of last year, which means that we are on the same stage of YSUN, PLC, and other technologies. Okay, so this puts us on the same level. We can have the entrance to talk with the utility companies. This was a work done by Otávio. He's not here, but I would like to thank him publicly because this was a huge effort, one of the hidden efforts that, and you know him, you worked with him as well, but it was a huge effort. Then we also are promoting strongly among the utilities the technology. And what's important to understand is that not only we are aiming metering, but we are also aiming smart grid cases, smart grid use cases. So creating this awareness, it's key for utilities to understand who we are and what we can do. Okay, mainly because of the ecosystem. Ecosystem is huge, and we have this advantage against other key technologies. One key point for us is that we are not aiming directly metering. We found a lot of resistance to go straight for metering, energy metering, but we found open doors for smart grid use cases. So we decided to push smart grid use cases as a way of generating acceptance from utility operators. This is working fine. Even for companies that are deploying YSUN and PLC, they are trying and they are deploying LoRaWAN use cases, LoRaWAN solutions for utilities. And finally, we are adjusting business model. It's clear for us that when you're talking about border coverage, LoRaWAN makes sense. It's much cheaper. When you talk about the interoperability from vendors, LoRaWAN makes sense. And I'm going to jump straight to the last one, the two last ones. We have the best ROI. We can beat YSUN on ROI. And we know that all clients from those 80 million meters, they are not going to be, they're not going to have YSUN deployed. So we are aiming a share of that pie because of our more aggressive ROI. And also we are adjusting the CapEx model. What we are doing recently is that we are sponsoring the sale of solutions with connectivity embedded for large, long-term periods. So this is a way of, because they have incentives to invest in buying technology, all integrated, but they need to spend CapEx, not OpEx. So this is adjustment that we're making for the business model. So I believe the key question here, and this is the last one, but the main point here is that the challenge is not easy. It's not a short-term challenge, but I think we are on the right path. And those actions, they are going to still demand a lot of energy from us, but we are finding open doors to promote those activities. So this is what I have to share. Okay?
It's not necessary. So, first of all, thank you, Remy, for the invitation. Thank you, Gustavo and William. It's my pleasure to have here with my Brazilian friends, and thank you for joining here. First of all, I want to introduce NEPEN. NEPEN in Brazil, it's one of the main IoT product development center in Latin America. And to say that, I want to show to you some numbers to prove that. For example, we have more than 20K smart meters using LoRaWAN. We have in Brazil more than 100K gas and water reads on field. It's not on the way, it's on field. More than 50K photocells IoT on the field. And on the going, actually, by this year, more than 350K ear tag for cattle tracking. And we have proud to say was the first LoRaWAN network in Latin America. Of course, nowadays, Everynet with American Tower has a huge coverage, actually the national cover, but we was the first one together with Equatorial Group. And I'm here to talk a little bit about our experience using DLMS and smart metering, because we start with that. Nowadays, we have an end-to-end solution using LoRaWAN, and I believe we were the first company that used DLMS over LoRaWAN. Nowadays, we are going to standardization, like Remy says, it's very important to be in the standardization just to offer the solution around the world. But this is our solution. We have the network interface card with a local Bluetooth interface as well. And in the other side, in the hand-end system, we have integration with billing system. For example, Equatorial use SAP, and you have full integration. For example, if you don't pay the bill, I can disconnect you from the energy, and if you pay, I can reconnect you again. And of course, the billing procedure, it's all automatic. And this is our solution in Brazil. Actually, in Brazil, there is a specific kind of meters we call collective smart meters, because it's a solution to face some thief of energy. In some places specifically, you put together until 12 smart meters, and you have just one network interface card. And of course, you have also the individual smart meters. You put just one network interface card, and you can connect remotely. For example, you can do DLMS, cosine communication. You can get the energy. You can get all the quality parameters like DRP and DRC. There is a specific Brazil market. And you can get energy, current, voltage, power factor, and of course, all the meter alerts. Because it's very important to know, for example, when someone is close, for example, if it's doing something illegal at the meter, use by network, our network interface card send alert to head-end system. And we have also some photo procedure. We have LoRaWAN multicast, it's the standardization by the LoRaWAN. We have also a Bluetooth contingency to do photo and to access some other data. And you have the LFR. LFR, it's our proprietary protocol we just made in Brazil. It's very interesting. I will show to you in details. The first of all, photo multicast, we do photo multicast. It's very simple, but for example, if you use a national network, you need to pay. It's a large volume of messages, a large volume of downlink, but you can do. Sorry, Siri, it's not the time. Sorry about that. And you can do that. And you also can do, for example, Bluetooth, a Bluetooth photo. It's not a big deal. Everything, I think it's everything here understand about that. You can do, for example, if there is no communication and you can, for example, you need to do some action, you can do as a contingency interface. And this specific one, it's our solution with photo as well. We call LFR. And the main point here is, for example, you can choose some seeders, like a circle on the green. And after you choose the seeders, you update the firmware. For example, like we using a Bluetooth interface, something like that, or remotely using LoRaWAN multicast. And you choose as well the future seeder. The future seeder will behave like a seeder, but in the future, and using LoRaWAN to schedule a specific time, a specific day and time to switch to LoRaWAN to LFR. And when the time arrives, they send the firmware image until to be updated. And everything occurs automatically. And when the time finish, the schedule finish, they back to LoRaWAN. And here, there's the main feature. You use the same LoRaWAN radio. It's a firmware inside it. And you can remotely, using LoRaWAN, switch to LFR using LoRaWAN. do not use the same LoRaWAN channels because avoid some collision on the network. And the time to update a meter firmware, it's 1 to 3 hours. It's very quickly, use the same radio, and still using LoRaWAN. Actually, it's mandatory to use LoRaWAN to send the schedule. And I'm here to talk about why we choose LoRaWAN in Brazil. Because, for example, we have here some information. In Brazil, it's very, very cheap to read manually residential and small business customer. In Brazil, we call Group B customers. It's very cheap, around $2 per year. Yes, it's very cheap, $2 per year. And the question is it worth technically, commercially speaking, to telemeter the customers? And the answer is yes, but not for everyone. For example, we have two kinds of customers in Brazil that's worth installing a smart meter. The first one is the bad payers, the default customers. It's the kind of customer that don't want to pay. It's not want, that usually do not pay the bill on time. And the other kind of customers is the meters without access to manual reading. Literally, they build a wall between street and the meter. Yes, that's happening in Brazil. Don't ask me why. But which technology to choose? For example, in the first case, we have a large volume of meters in a concentrated area. We have two kinds of technology. For example, you can choose Wi-Sun. I'm just talking now about technical stuff, and LoRaWAN. But in those kind of customers I have I show for you, with a large volume of meters spread over the large area, like this, the second figure. And in Brazil, we choose LoRaWAN together with Everynet, because Everynet has, together with American Tower as well, a public network, a national coverage. It's the best way to achieve this kind of customer that's worth to install. We use LoRaWAN and Everynet. And I will show to you why we use that and show some KPIs for you. For example, the bad payers. As the easy way to disconnect the customer, they pay the bill on time. And I show to you, for example, this KPI here. We start our pilot, for example, in a specific time of last year, and the revenue index is around 83%. And the new revenue with the facility of disconnect some meters go to 115%. So this is more money into the utility account. And for example, this second one, by law in Brazil, if you pass, for example, if you 3 months without reading the meter, the customer, it's not necessary to pay anymore. So the utility lost the revenue. So in this specific pilot we did in Brazil, in Teresina, Brazil, one of the utilities for Equatorial, we increased 16,000 kilowatt hour per month. Actually, it's in Brazil, it's around one real per kilowatt. It's around $3,000 per month, just in 128 device. And this is some pictures. For example, you can see the collective meters on the right picture, on the middle, the individual meters, and on the left picture, you can see LoRaWAN to get electro readings by the transformer. And of course, I want to a special thanks here in memory of Gabriel Santos. Gabriel Santos was the engineer at Equatorial, leader of AMI project using LoRaWAN. He passed away last October. Gabriel also, it's a friend, pai of 2 daughters, and I want a special thank you in memory of Gabriel, because he is very important to LoRaWAN community, to LoRaWAN with DLMS. Actually, Gabriel with me start the whole project, the whole history you have in Brazil. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rogerio. And now HTMicron.
Yeah, probably. I think we're gonna go
Akio,
to
yes,
Sony.
I was
Yeah.
not sure. Okay, so let's listen.
Hi, Orlando. My name is Sonny Nollet, and I'm responsible for business development and partnerships at Aclio. I can unfortunately not attend the LoRaWAN Live in person, and therefore I'm recording this presentation to highlight the context in which DLMS metering can be performed with LoRaWAN. More importantly, I will highlight the tools that are available for you to build your own LoRaWAN DLMS metering offer or showcase existing solution. I will share a few supportive slides to document what I will be expressing. And as a start, without repeating what Remy said earlier on the standardization of DLMS over LoRaWAN through the use of the SHIC adaptation layer, I want to remind the two key features of the SHIC technology for supporting DLMS with LoRaWAN connectivity. My goal is to show that DLMS over LoRaWAN is similar to supporting any other LoRaWAN use case or project, like in smart building or in a smarter industry. So first of all, and Remy mentioned that already, SHIC compresses IPv6 and DLMS traffic. This is critical for carrying data in DLMS format, but this can also help a battery-operated device consume less energy by a lower time on air by compressing the DLMS header involved when supporting DLMS for water or DLMS for gas. Beyond compression, SHIC also embeds fragmentation capabilities, that is the capacity to split large payload into smaller pieces that the LoRaWAN network will be able to carry. This is important because this means that LoRaWAN will be able to support multiple DLMS use cases in water, gas, and also electricity, where payloads are much larger than in gas and water. This fragmentation is dynamic. This means that a LoRaWAN DLMS solution will be operating like any other LoRaWAN solution. This will enable customers and users to get the most of LoRaWAN in terms of range, in terms of signal penetration, and be leveraging adaptive data rate, which is one of the interesting capabilities of the LoRaWAN technology. So DLMS over LoRaWAN is performing just like any other LoRaWAN project. This means that, and as I mentioned, you can use it in a completely transparent way for the network. There is no change required on your LoRaWAN gateway. There is no change required on the LoRaWAN network server. A DLMS over LoRaWAN solution can run on public networks, such as Everynet, but it can also be deployed through private networks when public infrastructure are not available. It works, of course, in all LoRaWAN regions. And by example, in Latin America, we have some deployment using AU 915 regional parameters, but we also have a project ongoing in other regions. You can use Class C for electricity meters. You may want to use Class A for battery-operated devices, like in gas or water. And we hear about some project that could be coming with Class B. It doesn't require any change, as I mentioned, on your network. So everything remains the same. LoRaWAN network server, gateways, the communication is full LoRaWAN standard. We just add some extra technology, the SHIC layer, in order to transport the DLMS protocol. Some of you may have noticed I mentioned gas and water because yes, beyond electricity, DLMS start to spread in gas and water metering. We see some first regulatory needs for DLMS using LoRaWAN in water and in gas. We see some utilities starting to be interested in DLMS as an interoperability standard for their gas or water meter project. So there are other solutions that are more promoted by the LoRa Alliance for water and gas. But in case your country regulation or your utility is specifically mentioning DLMS for their gas or water need, this can be now fully supported. We see projects rising in all continents. There is traction and interest from utilities and integrators in all continents, from Asia, Middle East, Africa, where we had our first field deployments, but also in Americas, where SHIC and LoRaWAN are part of the Brazil standard. And thank you, Otavio, for that. We also have some small projects running in Chile and some project in preparation for other countries in Latin America. Beyond this example, we see that DLMS over LoRaWAN is expanding, and we also start to see utility RFPs in the electricity metering field requesting not only the DLMS standard, this is pretty common, but also asking for a demonstration of LoRaWAN capabilities, and RFPs are requesting in the meantime, on top of LoRaWAN, the use of the SHIC adaptation layer, which is now fully specified by the LoRa Alliance and the DLMS COSEM protocol. So this is how we see things coming. DLMS is now fully standardized and is starts to be accepted and spreading in the LoRaWAN community. Now, what type of project or metering context we can operate LoRaWAN with? So from a network perspective, as I said, there is no difference with any type of other LoRaWAN deployment, like for smart building. It's exactly the same. But from a metering or utility perspective, what is interesting is that LoRaWAN can address multiple use cases, just like any other advanced metering infrastructure connectivity. You can work with single or three-phase meter. It can work with collecting the metering information every hour, every 30 minutes, or even every 15 minutes. And we can cover a wide range of billing profile for electricity quality, monitoring the load on the grid or the consumption of the consumers. So basically, any type of metering profile can be supported. And of course, the communication is bidirectional, enabling the capacity to perform on-demand reads, but also the capacity to remotely connect or disconnect a consumer, open or shut down a water meter valve in case, by example, the consumers don't pay their bill. Prepayment use cases are also possible. DLMS supports the standard that are used or starts to be spreading in prepayment scenarios as well. And LoRaWAN can fully support the prepayment use case on top of performing standard metering functions. I'm providing here a few examples of different meter profiles that LoRaWAN can fully support. This is what we deployed in Ivory Coast. This was a standard metering profile, enabling the capacity to have accurate energy consumption billing on a monthly basis, but also have half-hourly measurement of the load of the consumption. And we could also provide a power quality profile every 30 minutes to the utility to monitor the consumption and the delivery of the power to the customers. Different profiles, different continents, different utilities. So there are multiple models that can be performed, and LoRaWAN can support them. So far, we haven't seen some significant requirement that would prevent LoRaWAN to support the use case. What is important to understand, and the message that we want to give you today, is that DLMS over LoRaWAN is now possible, also because there is an extended ecosystem of a SHIC-ready hardware and software solution available. It's now becoming easy to showcase your own offer or build your own product. There is already a significant set of LoRaWAN network server and operators that are supporting and compatible with the SHIC technology. Everynet in Brazil. You also have a free platform like Chopstack or TTN that also support the SHIC technology. And from a LoRaWAN connectivity module on chip, it's exactly the same. You have a product available from Semtech, STMicroelectronics, or HTMicron that can fully provide you LoRaWAN connectivity with the SHIC capacity for DLMS over LoRaWAN. And either from a LNS perspective or a module on chip perspective, any logo that wouldn't be displayed here could be easily compatible. It doesn't require a huge effort in order to perform the integration of the SHIC technology in a third-party LNS or LoRaWAN module. So multiple tools are available. to demonstrate and showcase the solution. And that's definitely what is important for you to remind, is that it's possible to showcase the efficiency of LoRaWAN in DLMS metering because the ecosystem can provide you with available off-the-shelf component. We do have some demo kit at Aclio. We can connect you with meter manufacturers who provide LoRaWAN connectivity compatible with the DLMS COSEM standard. That's true for water, gas, and electricity. I can cite Kaifa, that's just an example. And there are also options and solutions to build your own solution if you are a meter manufacturer, if you are an IoT integrator, or even a LoRaWAN module supplier, and you would like to integrate with a meter to bring that to a utility. There are a set of tools that are available in order to integrate the SHIC technology, the SHIC adaptation layer, into your product or solution. At Aclio, we provide free samples that are accessible through our website, and it's free. You can just register, get access to the sample software, and be capable of prototyping or building your own solution. It's entirely free. So the message is to say that DLMS over LoRaWAN is effective, it's working, and now it's very simple and easy through the ecosystem to start deploying a solution. And so my conclusion message is to say, together, let's spread LoRaWAN in DLMS metering, because LoRaWAN is a very interesting and a very effective technology for smart utilities, particularly using the DLMS COSEM interoperability standard. So thank you very much. And I let you to the people that are in Orlando with you for the question. I will be available by email later on to answer any specific question that you may raise. Thank you very much, Orlando.
Okay, thank you, Sonny. So just moving forward, thank you, Remy and Gustavo and Rogério, and also Sonny for inviting me for the panel, and HTMicron. So we are actually a semiconductor company located in Brazil. It's very interesting. So you saw now a case which is extremely complicated. So we have layers and many talks and many things that were done here. So we have the software level, we have the fragmentation from Aclio, we have many things that needs to be integrated. We have the network that is there that needs to be available for this connectivity. And then someone has to come up with a device. This device needs to be deployed on the field. You need to monitor, you need the high level, but how you do it? You know, at the end, you also need a hardware. And if you pick up a hardware today and you start to build it, it will take 2 years. So how can you do it? How can you accelerate that? How can you pick up now, like Sonny mentioned in the end, and get DLMS right away and deploy it on Everynet and have it on the meter, or get the meter right done it, and we have everything in the way and coupling with the compliance that has been done. So in order to accelerate also the deployment of new device that can be easily integrated into all this ecosystem. So as HTMicron, in this particular case, we have a device like a system in package, which is a module like Remy mentioned in the beginning. It's a very, very compact hardware. It's actually features LoRa and LoRaWAN particularly, and also it's a device who has a Bluetooth integrated. So this looks like a chip, but it actually has about 50 to 60 components inside. The crystals are there, the resistors are there. So you take the burden of developing any very difficult things in terms of hardware just to go for it. And in that sense, what we help it out in all those feature stacks. We worked with Aclio just to deploy and have the LMS with the SHIC ready to go. You can download it from the GitHub and get our chip and start doing it right away and integrating it into a meter. So, for example, here there is a meter from NEPEN. So, as you can see, it's like just the electricity meter that was showcased around. And inside of that, you have just a small piece of hardware, a small module. It's like 2-layer PCB, very simple, just our chip is there, some capacitors, the antenna is hanging out, and you connect to the meter, and voila, you suddenly have a smart meter. But because all of that was done by this group in, actually, also in a diverse country like Brazil, yeah, there are some peculiarities, so to say. You can run DLMS, SHIC, everything through Aclio, integrating like 5 partners that are now here presenting to you that. So how long does it took for doing this? Like 1 month. So can you imagine that? 1 month. And now, like we saw in the beginning, Donna was mentioning, LoRaWAN is evolving. How can we accelerate the implementation of LoRaWAN? That was her opening today. The opening session, the first mentioning was, how can we accelerate the implementation of LoRaWAN? We need to fast access. We need to deploy devices. How can you accelerate the deployment of the devices? Like this. In 1 month, you can have a device. So what we added up to the table and connecting also and talking and seeing, okay, we have the know-how to make everything together, this happen, and offer like this more holistic approach to diversity of applications, not only the utilities, what is being showcased here, but also cities, the buildings, or even the ESR projects, like the environmental and social responsibility projects. So we can really, this way, what is being showcased here, with all the efforts that were done, we really can immediately provide this transformation into the business. And, you know, like especially those that are constrained the budget, because imagine that you now would have to spend 18 months to do something. Let's decide, let's do this meter. How long does it take? If you take all the hardware, all the parts, it will take at least 18 months. But as Rogério mentioned, 1 month he had connected, have a board that is plugging in and good to go. So how much it costs? That hidden cost that nobody sees, but it's there. So with our device, we just try to bring, you know, the best of everything that is around and deploying, ready to go for someone wants to take this case forward and do other devices. So we take profit of this kind of heterogeneous integration in our product. It's very flexible, very scalable. It's a chip, so we do not need to, we do not manufacture like thousands per month, but we can really go up to millions per month. So we do not have limitations in that because we are a semiconductor company. The performance is very well improved. So in the antenna, directly you can get the best. You don't need to tune anything. You don't need to do more things on the hardware side, which facilitates a lot. The form factor is small, so you can even think about now tracking cats, for example, or birds, you know. The power is very efficient in that. You have a very good reliability in the product because everything is packaged. So you have a fast time to market, which is everybody here interested too. We need to make this profitable. And at the end, you have like a very overall good cost saving and a very different product and a good thing to bring the innovation to the market right away to go, like it's being showcased here. So the idea here is that probably with this, you can do like a prototype IPv6, DLMS over LoRaWAN into a single day. Do you want it today? You can do it. You grab it, you go into the code, you go online, and you develop your application, like the one that is being showcased here. If you need connect to the sensors, you connect to the sensors. Basically, the device that is in here just need the antenna, connect the battery, and voila, you are ready to go. to make your LoRaWAN scale. So this particular device also has SPIs, WARTs, the I2C, whatever necessary to connect to other sensors. Yes, please, Laura. Fantastic question. Yeah, it's a multi-region ready. You can get it here, and whatever you go, you can change the frequency and already be compliant with the regulations in whatever country you go. That's an excellent question. Because we have actually an accessible MCU, so you do not need an external processor or an MCU outside anymore. You can just push another firmware inside this product and as well use your application, and you're good to go in another country with another regulations and change even the power that's being deployed. So, which is very good. And then Remy also was making some questions when we were discussing previously here. Of course, maybe regarding with Brazil, maybe you can rephrase so we can enter into this perspective. So Brazil has a special things with the taxes. Mm-hmm. So if you are interested also in coming to Brazil, this brings and adds up a lot of opportunities for you, because as a semiconductor company and developing a product in Brazil, we are like tax-free. We do not pay any taxes to process or to bring something to the country and export. So we can export this product without paying any taxes. And also the products that uses our chip, like the electricity meter, also can profit from taxes advantages. So it is very, very important to be competitive in this market in Brazil. Anyway, I can show here, and just finishing up, we have also a breakout, so that's as simple as it can be, your product. So you just solder down our chip, you have the connector, 2 antennas, and that's it. You just hook up your battery there, and DLMS, IPv6, LoRaWAN is good to go.
So time for some wrap-up, and after some questions from the audience. But in summary, we have seen that with a small number of companies and talented people, they were capable to release on the market solutions that are now deployed by Equatorial, solutions that are featuring SHIC with LoRaWAN to support DLMS for new meters. So it's a brilliant, I would say, a chance for meter manufacturers to be much faster in time to market. They don't need to integrate all the different layers, and they can benefit of your advanced support. And you have also the back office for the support of the network connectivity with the SHIC part, which can be supported with a network operator like Everynet. So it's representing the IoT challenge to not only leverage on standards that are one hurdle, but also to reduce the question of having a product, having a solution that works, and having the integration altogether. So 80 million of electricity meters in potential, plus all other, I would say, country, because LoRaWAN has been adopted in more than 180 countries. So it's proving it's existing everywhere. What I wanted to ask you again, Rogerio, is because you have added other features such as the firmware update, which is a clear requirement. So you prove to be agile towards the needs of your customer. Do you see other application, and perhaps not using DLMS, but also using this communication stack as well? How do you foresee the next steps with your customers?
Good question. Actually, I have here another application. As Gustavo said on his presentation, Some utilities try to look in for another application like sensors. This is one example of a sensor. And in Brazil, we have the measure of the network, it's on the street and there is no protection. And the fuse cut off, you plug this on the fuse cut off and they send alert using the LoRaWAN network. And we can see another application as well that's encourage the utilities to invest in LoRaWAN. For example, there is a recloser, there is a good Brazilian product there. And besides the other applications as well, just the meters itself, as Gustavo said, the ROI, it's very interesting when you use LoRaWAN. And the utilities in Brazil start to notice that. And we can see not just in Equatorial, other utilities are start some small pilots and to try to compare the LoRaWAN and other technology as well. So answer your question, and it's not just a smart meter. We have a lot of smart sensors, and I think in the next few years, the smart sensors on the network will be in terms of volume at the same or more than the smart meters. Because, for example, in Brazil, we have just 80 millions of meters. Just Equatorial, our customer, it's 10 millions in Brazil. So it's one of the largest one. And for the market for sensors, it's more than 100 millions in Brazil. So we are start to see the movement of utilities to try a lot of sensors, not just smart meters as well.
Excellent. And also for Everynet, you're expanding in a different direction. You explained in your go-to-market strategy that smart grid was important, a door opener, as you expressed. It's a kind of shift because firstly you pushed for adoption of DLMS over LoRaWAN. Now you see that more traction for smart grid. Do you see combination between the two, or DLMS is exclusively smart metering?
Good question, Remy. What I see there is that not necessarily you're going to have DLMS for smart grid. We may have. Definitely, we are seeing interesting for gas and water, which are other areas with a strong push in Brazil. But I would say that we need to understand that's just not just a one use case game. So at the end, we are talking with engineering companies that are approving those solutions, and we need to gain that trust. So being able to deliver DLMS definitely in a standardized protocol definitely is opening doors for us to put the bar higher to get a better entrance and show what we can do as a group. I mean, not as Everynet only, but as an ecosystem. And this was key for us. Also being succeed on other verticals like we are today on gas and water. And this brings street lighting as well. We're going to have a session tomorrow about street lighting. It's really popping up the attention of the market. Why so many use cases are being succeed with LoRaWAN? So when you have those right questions and you can have real use cases, not only nice PowerPoints, I think this is the game changer. I mean, you saw how many use cases you showed there. Yeah. They are all real, thank God, because you are using us, but that's the case. Okay.
We have time for one question, if somebody has something. Otherwise, you can, of course, contact each of those or by email Sony as well. I want again to express that it's a great sharing of experience and all the journey you cross I would say, to reduce the complexity for creating this adoption, creating and deploying also solution is proving that it's not necessary to be an army. It's more important to be focused and to keep, I would say, persistence in delivering things. So other ecosystem of this kind can be replicated, and I'm sure you will be part of those. So I wish you a very good and long journey again. Thank you to all the panelists.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sony, also. Thank you. I invite you to go to the Tuscan third room, where there will be the award ceremony before the happy hour.
Thank you.
Thank you.